is your host, Alex Garrett.
Taking you now to what's going on in Mar-a-Lago as the FBI, Miami Special Agent Jeffrey Veltri, is announcing what happened yesterday.
We view this as extremely serious and are determined to provide answers as to what led up to the events which took place. In the last 24 hours, the FBI and our partners have been dedicated to investigating the incident and utilizing all available resources. These efforts have included our investigative team and the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, in conjunction with DOJ's National Security Division, are actively working hand in hand to pursue and subsequently execute search warrants. Thus far, the warrants include a video recording device, subjects' cellular devices, a vehicle, and other electronic devices located at previous known addresses. We are coordinating with the United States Secret Service to complete numerous interviews of agents on scene. FBI has deployed several specialty teams and assets from FBI headquarters and our lab division in Quantico to include evidence and critical incident response personnel. The evidence response team is collecting and processing multiple evidentiary items. These range from the rifle, which is an SKS model with a scope and obliterated serial numbers, to 2 bags, the subject's electronics, and what appears to be ceramic tiles. DNA has also been collected from those items, which are being sent to Quantico for testing. We will also process the subject's vehicle for evidence. The Cellular Analysis Survey Team, what we refer to as CAST, conducted thorough analysis of the subject's cellular device locations. The CAST analysis aligns with witnesses' account of the subject's presence at the scene both before and around the time of the incident on September 15th. More specifically, we're continuing to conduct analysis and will be compiling the subject's movements in the days and months leading up to September 15th. Cellular data shows that the subject was in the vicinity of the golf course roughly 12 hours before the engagement with the United States Secret Service. Our investigative teams conducted a neighborhood canvass in an effort to collect and obtain relevant video footage. The subject had an active online presence, and we are going through what he posted and any searches he conducted online. In addition, we're going through media reports and public statements he made that he wanted to recruit Afghan soldiers and others to fight for Ukraine. The FBI has sent multiple requests to companies for returns on the subject's phone and social media accounts. We received several returns and are waiting on additional responses from other companies as well. Our investigative team is completing analysis of the returns and actioning leads as needed, and we anticipate continuing until the FBI knows the full totality of the subject's social media presence. By way of his background, in 2002, as the United States Attorney mentioned, the subject was charged and convicted in North Carolina for possession of a weapon of mass destruction. Law enforcement checks also revealed that from 1997 to 2010, the subject had numerous felony charges for stolen goods. I can also share with you that he was the subject of a previously closed 2019 tip to the FBI where it was alleged he was a felon in possession of a firearm. In following up on the tip, the alleged complainant was interviewed and did not verify, I repeat, did not verify providing the initial information. The FBI passed that information to local law enforcement in Honolulu. On behalf of the FBI, I would like to thank the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and Martin County Sheriff's Office for their incredible work in actioning the witnesses' information and rapidly apprehending the subject. I would also like to thank the United States Secret Service, the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, the Department of Justice's National Security Division, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and our FBI field offices in both Honolulu and Charlotte, who have been conducting additional law enforcement activity related to the subject. Your continued partnerships have been invaluable. Oftentimes in law enforcement, we tell citizens to be vigilant and aware of their surroundings. Yesterday, a citizen provided remarkable assistance, which led to the arrest of this subject. We appreciate the public's diligence in passing potential tips and information regarding the subject and this incident to the FBI. If you have any information, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI or go online to tips, that's tips.fbi.gov. With that, let me turn it over to the United States Secret Service Acting Director, Ron Rowe.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yesterday afternoon, this country was reminded of the heightened and dynamic threat environment the United States Secret Service and its protectees face on a daily basis. Immediately following the assassination attempt of former President Donald J. Trump on July 13th, the Secret Service moved to increase assets to an already enhanced security posture for the former president. In the days that followed, President Biden made it clear that he wanted the highest levels of protection for former President Trump and for Vice President Harris. The Secret Service moved to sustain increases in assets and the level of protection sought. And those things were in place yesterday. At approximately 1:30 p.m., former President Trump was playing golf during an off-the-record movement to the Trump International Golf Course. A Secret Service advance agent supporting the front edge of the agency's layered approach to protection encountered an individual attempting to secrete himself in the wood line. This happened, the alleged gunman was on the public side of the fence near the sixth green. A layered approach of security is integral to the Secret Service's protective methodologies, and it's also the key to our success. As former President Trump was moving through the fifth fairway across the course and out of sight of the sixth green, the agent, who was visually sweeping the area of the sixth green, saw the subject armed with what he perceived to be a rifle and immediately discharged his firearm. The subject, who did not have line of sight to the former president, fled the scene. He did not fire or get off any shots at our agent. With reports of gunfire, the former president's close protection detail immediately evacuated the president to a safe location. The protective methodologies of the Secret Service were effective yesterday. The former president's protective apparatus allowed for the early identification of the threat and led to a safe evacuation. The increased assets directed by President Biden were in place yesterday. These included the counter-sniper team elements, counter-surveillance agents on the exterior, counter-assault teams partnered with local tactical assets from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and counter-unmanned aerial system elements. All of these entities were present yesterday. And while all of these assets were in place, as I've said publicly, we must satisfy the basic requirements of the Secret Service's protective methodologies. In partnership with local law enforcement, we did just that. And the agents' hypervigilance and the detailed swift action was textbook. And I commend them and our partners for an exemplary response in keeping former President Trump safe. And I will tell you, having served in local law enforcement in Palm Beach County, I can state that I am tremendously impressed and appreciative for all of the efforts of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Schneider with the Martin County Sheriff's Office. But what was critical to this was the quick reaction, the response, the hypervigilance of the men and women of the United States Secret Service, who since July 13th have been rising to meet an unprecedented and hyper-dynamic threat environment. And they are rising to this moment, and I could not be more proud of them and the way they have executed, not only yesterday, but what they're doing today and what they are doing tomorrow and what they will always do, because it is their duty. Thank you.
There you have it. We have updates from Ronald Rowe, Jr., acting director, and Jeffrey Sultry telling us that the suspect in this assassination attempt on Donald Trump was at the golf course at 12 hours, circling it probably for 12 hours. He was 300 to 500 yards away from President Trump. And thank God the Secret Service did their job and did that layered approach. Now, what Director Rowe did not mention, and I'll read it actually from President Trump's page here because he reposts a lot from True Social. He said this: I would like to thank everyone for your concern and well wishes. Most importantly, I want to thank the U.S. Secret Service, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, and his Office of Brave and Dedicated Patriots, and all of law enforcement for the incredible job done today at Trump International in keeping me as the 45th President of the United States and the Republican nominee in the presidential election safe. The job was absolutely outstanding. I am very proud to be an American. Ronald Rowe Jr. then echoed those thanks to his men and women in the Secret Service. And I have to say, on the One Leg Up with Alex Garrett podcast, when will there be a sense of safety for even those Trump supporters who want to go to a simple political rally like this week at Nassau County? When can Americans who want to support Trump, and just Americans in general who believe in the history of the president, and that this is a former president, by the way, realize that the rhetoric of the Democrats and more importantly, the division we're seeing is very real, to the point of 2 assassination attempts. One that actually grazed President Trump's ear. This one that, had the Secret Service not acted, I don't know what would happen. But when will the Democrats wake up? When will those who say President Trump is a threat to democracy wake up that the biggest threat are those that want to actually try and kill the president? They are threats to democracy. Those who have a gun on them and want to do harm to President Trump, who literally want to arm themselves to harm the president. They are the threat to democracy. So when can we stop all the rhetoric BS and really say, hey, you know what, this man, his life is in true danger, and we must do everything to assuage those who have evil thoughts in their mind from doing so? And I don't care what party affiliation. I think the President of the United States, Joe Biden, today, speaking out about this, is it too little too late? I don't know. Is VP Harris expressing relief that President Trump was unharmed and safe too little too late? I don't know. Will it fall on deaf ears? That's the big question. Is the division in this country too big that even the left's heroes now, I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that's how they're making VP Harris out to be, will they listen to her? I mean, this happened 5 days after the debate, this incident. And I hate to say it, but John Catsimatidis also had some interesting thoughts. He always asks, are these gunmen being paid by somebody of influence to do these, to attempt these? And that's a very valid question, John. I really believe so. But you know what, most of all, I wish we just had a unity about us to where we can both sides condemn these attempts. We have people on the Democratic side today saying, oh, nothing happened. It's not a big deal. Really? A gunman 300 to 500 yards away from President Trump on hole 6 on his golf course is not a big deal? So we're not unified. Even after the unity of 9/11's memorial, we're still not unified. We haven't learned the lessons of 23 years ago, because now it's about whether some even brush off an attempt. That's what we're left to right now. This was a high national security incident yesterday. And as much as we can laugh at now, and I do think of Caddyshack and the Gopher versus Bill Murray, I have to say that. That just reminds me of it. Because we can laugh in a sense, but we should also be very wary. Because if this man was circling for 12 hours, undetected, I just wonder how he got there. I don't know how he got there. But but then you got that, and then, I didn't want to deal with the debate because it was on 9/11 aftermath. The day after that debate was 9/11, and I'm not really had any interest in going into the debate as much because, let's face it, it was sort of an evened out matchup. It wasn't exciting to me. It just was kind of all over the place. But this incident, and the fact that people are brushing it off, is what's pissing me off today on One Leg Up on News. Because then we just say 4 or 5 days ago, we have to be like we were on September 12th, 2001, unified. Didn't we just talk about this? Or did I miss the boat on something here? Because I feel like we just talked about this. How we had to be unified. And that includes condemning any attempt on a former president or any political leader in America. Every attempt on the life of a political leader in this country should be condemned. Not brushed off, no ears were harmed, nothing BS like that. I am so glad the Secret Service is taking this seriously, because they did not handle the aftermath of Assassination Attempt 1 very well. Seems like Ronald Rowe Jr. has the department and head of Secret Service together here, which is good, which is very good. And he even credits the Biden administration for giving President Trump this extra layer of protection. But again, how did this person end up just 300 yards away from President Trump? That's what's got to be answered in the next few days here and coming weeks. October is not going to be that fun. But I want to leave you with this, because I haven't done One Leg Up on News in a minute. I want to leave you with what I witnessed on 9/11 outside Firehouse 10, or the 10 House as they call it, for the FDNY, where they honored the 343 firefighters who gave their lives to try and save people from the horror, from the terror. And Phil Mushnick is right. Those people, those 3,000 innocent Americans were murdered that day. They weren't lost. They were murdered by terrorism. So Phil Mushnick is right on that, from the New York Post. But can we just really have a September 12th mindset all through the election and beyond? Because if you want an example of what September 12th felt like, it's this right here outside the 10 House on 9/11. I'm Alex Garrett, and please stay safe. If you're going to Trump's rally, because there are wackos out there, there are those with evil minds that want to do away with our president, and that makes the ralliers' lives in jeopardy too. We've already lost a dedicated dad, a dedicated firefighter at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania. We don't and can't afford to lose another life due to this political Manchurian candidate style tactics. I don't want to paint the left as the left responsible for this, but that deranged people believe they can participate in. And thank God the Secret Service has stepped up its game to take out the derangement. Because this is the extreme form of Trump derangement syndrome. Trying to take him out? That's derangement, and it's got to be called out. And I will call it out on One Leg Up on News with Alex Garrett. But you just heard from Jeffrey Soltry of Miami FBI office and Ronald Rowe Jr., the head of Secret Service, in the interim. He might be named permanent if he does a hell of a job protecting Donald Trump here. I'm sure the right will want to have him on more. Seems like a guy with an actual law enforcement background, not someone who's worked at PepsiCo. A PepsiCo warehouse is not a Trump rally warehouse. It's just not. I digress. Unity now, more than ever. And what we heard outside of the Tent House, that needs to be echoed. God bless America. God bless President Trump and President Harris, and Vice President Harris, and President Biden. Keep them safe this election cycle, will you? All hands need to be on deck for every candidate, for every political leader. Because they are not the ones pitting each other. There's an evil force out there. We cannot let that evil force win. And we as Americans must have one leg up by unifying, right? And I pray the Secret Service is as vigilant as they were on September 15th. And I think Ronald Rowe is going to step in there and say, nope, with every political leader and candidate in this country. I'm Alex Garrett with the One Leg Up on News. Breaking news edition press conferences following the second assassination attempt of President Donald Trump. Please stay with us and stay safe on the One Leg Up Network.